Hello, I hope you are having a good day today. So today we are going to talk about Azure Functions. So Azure Functions, or Function Apps as sometimes it's called, allows you to execute a lot of code for, let's say, microservices or even driven applications. So basically what you do is you create a small segment of code for a specific functionality. You convert that into an Azure function and you execute it. Now, the thing with it is that you can create several Azure functions and you can link them together in a sequence. You can execute both some of them in parallel and then get a main response, things like that. Um, for example, you can also integrate your Azure functions with other Azure services and events. For example, with Event Grid or in Logic Apps, you can invoke your Azure functions from Logic Apps. So, yeah, you can do all things like that. So, do you use Azure functions? Okay, we go to the Azure portal and we create a function. Let me do it in a second. Okay, so here I am in my portal. Now I click add, or I search for functions here, wherever. Then function app, create. You tell it where my demo function app. Okay, it's not available. Okay, you select where you want to publish it, if it's code or if it's going to be in a Docker container. You select the runtime stack and you select the version. In this case, I'm going to select .NET Core and in South Central US, since it's the closer to where it's going to be used the most. Now you choose which operating system and the storage account, Linux or Windows, and the storage, right? You select the plan type, consumption, premium, or app service plan. Um, to see more details about that, you can go to the Azure portal and verify the difference among them. Okay, so now we deploy and we wait a couple of seconds for the function to be um, finally, the function creation to be finalized. Okay, so we see that the resources are actually being created. It's still with the storage account. And now it seems it's almost ready. We should see the button to go to the resource in a second. Okay, so this is the way that you create Azure functions from the portal itself. One of the great features that they have is that you can actually code them inside the portal, which is useful sometimes. Um, so you see, I went to the function. Now I am in the Azure function, in the function app, and now I click functions, and you will see that here I have, if I click functions, I have here where the list of functions will be performed. Okay, now you see that we have this developed locally. This allows us to also um, code them in our IDE. IDs. So I'll show you how to do it in Visual Studio in a second. Now I click Add. There's one thing with Azure Functions. They are started from a trigger. So basically they are started from an HTTP request, from a scheduled trigger. Basically the task will run every 5 minutes, for example, so you configure that with a time trigger. We have here others for blob storage, service bus, send grid trigger. We also have here signal R and durable functions. So basically it allows us to create functions for several types. Here I'm going to create an HTTP trigger one, my demo function, and the authorization level in this case is going to be the function itself. So now I already created the function. Now you see that it sends me to this page. I can see the get function URL, and I can copy the function with the function key, with the host key, or with the master key, and I can go and see the actual code of the function. You will see that the default template actually expects in the query string to have a parameter name, okay, and then it gets the request body, deserialize it, and if there is nothing in name, it tries to get information from data name, and if not, it's probably going to be null. And we can actually test it here. So we see that we here have post, and it gives us the default sample, so name Azure, and if I run it, I will see the response from this call, HTTP response code, okay, hello Azure, okay. I also can go and convert it in a get, and instead of having a body, what I will have is name equals John Doe. Okay, and you see that it says hello John Doe. So you can actually invoke these functions with a get or with a post. Since it's really simple, I just use a get. For more complex scenarios, I will recommend use post. Okay, so that's basically how you call it. One of the other cool things that you can do is that you can actually copy the URL. You can just paste it in your browser. That's because that's not the start of the query string. We already have the question mark after the demo function word. So now you see I got it in the browser and the function actually executed. Now, how you create an Azure function in Visual Studio? So basically we are in Visual Studio, we go to create a new project, we select Azure Functions, or we search it here. Okay. Now I'm gonna name it function app2. Now I'm gonna name it my PS demo function. Okay, and we create it, and okay, it will request us which type of function we want to have. We are going to create an empty one, or we are going to create the HTTP trigger one. I'm going to create the HTTP trigger one, and it also requests us for the authorization level. We hit create, and Visual Studio will create the function based on the default template it has for that HTTP trigger one. Okay, so you see that, okay, it already load, install the packages, and you see that here we have this basically just a normal method with attributes to indicate what they are. We see that the function is actually named, the method is named run, but it has a date attribute or notation named function1, which actually tells it the name of the function. Uh, you see that it's guest and post, there's no root. It receives an HTTP request and it has access to the logger to log information. Now it gets the parameter called name from the query string. It also tries to request it from the body, and we have here the evaluation. If this is null, use this one, otherwise it will end up null. Now, one of the cool things about doing it in Visual Studio is that it's actually linked with the emulator. I believe that's the storage emulator. So I can use Postman to Postman to execute it, or I can use the browser. So let me create one more request. Okay, now that's my function. I click send. What happens? It says the HTTP trigger function execute successfully. Pass a name in the query string or in the request body for a personalized response. So name John send hello John Doe. This HTTP trigger function executed successfully. Okay. Now there is also another kind of functions named durable functions. Okay, so you see that these kind of functions are really quick. There is no problem with that. So because they are going to respond or to return if they are being invoked from a web application through HTTP requests or AJAX requests. The response in these default functions will be so fast that there is actually not an issue in there. But what happens if, for example, what you want to do is execute an analysis of a photo or invoke a function which process actually takes a lot of time. This is something that is actually really that happens a lot when you are using artificial intelligence, things with cognitive services. For example, in Azure, when you want to analyze images or analyze long text, things like that, or when you have as well database also to that makes your code takes long. You don't want to have um, your client waiting a long time for a response. So basically what you do is you create some kind of asynchronous operations. So you invoke an endpoint or a method from an API from your client. It will execute the operation as the main operation asynchronously, but at the same time it will return some information about the process status, if it is running, if it has been cancelled, if it has failed, or if it has been completed. At the same time it will return some operations IDs or the link to verify the status. So durable functions, actually that's what they do. They allow you to do this process way faster. So the process is the same. So instead of creating one with HTTP trigger, um, you will create one function. Now, new Azure function, my demo durable function, durable functions orchestration, because the orchestration will actually have a minimum of 3 methods. Now, you will see that we have my durable function underscore HTTP star. This is basically the method or the function that you invoke to start the actual operation. It will return a response with an instance ID, and at the same time it will start a synchronous operation. So this asynchronous operation is, or the orchestrator is the one where you are going to invoke your whole process. So you can invoke just one function, you can invoke 3, whatever you want to do in there. Okay, and this call activity is the main activity for this call, this is the main activity for this call, and so on, right? And then you will see that here we have this say hello, which is actually the main code that has your logic, your actual logic for the process you are performing. There are a couple of things that you will have to notice in here. See that my function was actually named my demo durable function, but my methods are not called like that. Okay, that's retrieving from the function name. So my demo durable function HTTP start, my demo durable function dash hello, and my demo durable function. Okay. Now there is one other thing. You will see that this, for example, this base template method, it sends a parameter which to this method. This is the name of the function. So this is, you see that it actually received a string, is actually the first parameter. We execute it. Now you will see that it tells us that our my demo durable function is actually listening in here. So I'll copy it. Okay, I'll use Postman. I change this to go there, and I'll click send. What happened there? Let's see. I should have an error somewhere around here, probably. Alternate. Okay, this is okay. I forgot the T. Okay, so here we have that it tells us we invoke the start, this is the entry point. It gives us a response with the ID, and it gives us the URLs that we can use. So we have this URL to request the status for the function. Now you will see that this function is actually running. at some point this function will actually have completed or failed, and it will give us the actual data. Let me just verify I don't have any breakpoint in there. Okay. Now you see that it says the runtime status is actually completed, and the output is these three strings. Now let's see it with something a little bit more useful. So I already have a durable function created and actually deployed to Azure. Let's see. Okay, so I have this function which is in charge of finding the alternate names for a compound. So let's see, I want to find the alternate names for the ingredient name fluor. I send the request to the Azure function. Now you see that I get this status. I hit the link in Postman to send me here. Now we see that we request the actual status of the operation. It says running. The input was actually fluor, and this one will actually take a while because what it's doing is finding some ingredients which have that name in the have that string in the name and get the most the closest match to that. And besides that is getting the different ingredients in that group, which are actually the probably alter names for that specific component or ingredient. And that's actually searching in millions of records and haven't been able to optimize it yet. Now let's see what happens. We see the runtime status actually fail. The activity function alternate names, okay, failed to deserialize exception from here. It says that the connection could have timeout while waiting for the server to complete the login process and respond. So yeah, that's actually an issue I am having with the connection, which I am actually with the connection to the database, which I'm actually trying to fix at the moment. I'm also using Azure SQL serverless, and there is also a chance that it had actually been offline, and my code for the retries on failure is not correctly set yet. Okay, it's running. Okay, it's been a little bit longer, and we see if this time we actually get the results we are trying to um, receive. This can actually take from 30 seconds to even 10 minutes. So yeah, I'll pause the video here for a second while it actually finishes, just so it doesn't, so the video doesn't grow that much in time. And I'll unpause it once I get the actual results. Just a second. Okay, so here we have the actual response. We see that we have the same input, but now the output is actually filled with data, and we see that we have a lot of names there. These are actually the PubChem compound IDs with the different synonyms that they use to classify a specific um, compound. So basically what the code found with fluor has probable alternate names of all these values: fossil fluor, silica fluor, and the PubChem ID is in here just to be able to group them to identify that they are the same. So for example, this one is not the same as this one. However, this and this are of the same group because they have the same PubChem ID. So they are in fact, these are in fact the same component, and this was just another component that was found because it had fluor in its name. Okay, and yeah, that's basically how you could use Azure durable functions and how you can create it from Visual Studio and from the portal itself. I hope you have liked it, and please let me know in the comments how you are planning to use Azure functions or how you have used them before. And also let me know any other content about Azure and .NET Core that you may want to have in the channel. Thank you very much and have a good day.